personally don't think that resilience is an inherent trait that us earthlings are born with. So, in other words, I don't think some people are born with resilience and others are not. I think resilience is a skill, a skill that we develop over our lifetimes through trials and difficulties that we encounter here at Earth School. Resilience is a really good skill to cultivate in this plane of existence. Earth School is hard. Let's explore the secret to resilience. Resilience is about responding to life's challenges without being broken by them. Like how well can you bounce back from life's challenges? What makes you bouncy? Have you ever met somebody that went through something extremely difficult and they did so with like such grace? Doesn't mean they didn't feel it. Doesn't mean that they weren't affected by it. Doesn't mean that they weren't hurting, but they didn't let it break them. And then another person could go through the exact same situation and is completely demolished, completely broken by it. So what's the difference? So if you look at current research shows that there are several common traits among people who are resilient, such as resilient people are more likely to ask for help when needed, or resilient people tend to have more social support available to them. So maybe like stronger connections with friends and family. But I'm hardly going to talk about any of those things today. There is one glaringly obvious trait that I see among people who are resilient, and that's spirituality. Now, to be very clear, when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion or theology. I actually love Brene Brown's, I know I reference her a lot, but I actually love Brene Brown's definition of spirituality. So I'm going to read it for you here. She says, spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. Practicing spirituality brings a sense of perspective, meaning, and purpose to our lives. I love that definition. Resilient people tend to believe in some sort of power greater than themselves. I see that constantly. Some people call that power God. For others, that power is nature or the cosmos or energy or light. Some spiritual people struggle with the concept of religion. Other times, you find people who are spiritual and also religious. It doesn't matter what your personal brand of spirituality is, but rather that you form some sort of sense for yourself. For me, spirituality is about connecting to that power greater than myself, who I personally choose to call God. And this connection is always growing and always changing and deepening for me as I continue to work on this relationship. So I'm sober. The person you are seeing sitting in front of you today is nothing like the person I was years ago when I was swimming in my addiction. I got sober through a certain program whose whole basis is to teach addicts how to be more resilient so we're able to handle life on life's terms without being completely broken by it. And this program did this in several ways. One of the ways was teaching me the opposite of addiction is connection. They knew that if I was able to form stronger connections with others, that I would be more resilient. Another way was teaching me how to ask for help. This was super important to be a part of, to know to reach out to others when I needed to. That lone wolves tend to get picked off from the pack. So I needed to be a part of, and I needed also to allow others to help me, to not take that away from them. But the primary thing, the basis of the entire program was for me to get a sense of spirituality. I was told I could learn to live my life on a spiritual basis or I could die an alcoholic death. And I was not thrilled about those choices. I thought that they were going to force me to believe something that I didn't want to believe. And it was like, no, no, no. You need to figure out what you believe, what your brand of spirituality is, and go foster that relationship and build on that relationship. It was essential to my resilience building program. All of these things I mentioned are what current research is saying is the key to resilience, and all of it holds spirituality at its basis. For example, let's take connecting with others. The heart of spirituality to me is connection. Connection is very spiritual. I most easily connect to God through nature, through community, but also mixed with some solitude. I need that. I connect to God through our sun that brings warmth, light, and life to our planet. And I connect to God through animals. Other people connect through God in a church or a synagogue or through music or art. You don't have to follow anyone else's path. So, who is your higher power and how do you connect with it? Can you put some thought into that concept and see if connecting to that power, whatever that power is, makes you more resilient? We are all in our school together. And when we believe in that inextricable connection, we don't feel alone. When I believe in that inextricable connection, I don't feel alone. This plane of existence is going to be much harder if we feel like we're alone. Earth school is hard. It is our earthling experience that we will encounter feelings like hopelessness and despair, fear, pain, loss, vulnerability. And the only experience that seems fierce enough to combat these types of feelings is a belief that we are all in this together and a trust in a power greater than ourselves. There's a short parable I want to share with you that really embraces this topic. And the story goes: once upon a time, there lived an old Chinese farmer. He tilled his fields every day, relying on his trusty horse to help him work the land. One day, the horse escaped and ran away. The villagers gathered around the farmer, expressing their deep sympathy, and they said, "Man, this is such bad luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." A few weeks passed, and to everyone's surprise, the horse returned, and it wasn't alone. It brought along a whole herd of horses. Now the farmer had 10 horses to assist him to work the land. The villagers rejoiced, saying, "Wow, this is such good luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." Soon after, the farmer's son came to visit. While trying to tame one of the new horses, the son fell and broke his leg. The villagers gathered around once more, expressing their sympathy, and said, "Oh man, how awful! This is such bad luck." The farmer said again, "Maybe." A month later, the farmer's son was still recovering, unable to walk and or contribute to the farm. Then a regiment of the army marched through the town, enlisting every able-bodied young man. When they reached the farmer's house, they saw the injured son, and they left him behind. The villagers marveled, exclaiming, "This is amazing! This is such good luck! You are so fortunate." And the wise farmer simply said, "Maybe." Have a good week.